No one has told you this yet, but if you're still obsessing over whether or not to text her back immediately, stop right there. This is why your pursuit isn't working. What if I told you that the key to capturing her attention isn't about texting her constantly or showering her with affection? What if the secret is to do the exact opposite? Yes, you heard me right. Today, we're diving into the dark secret behind why sometimes ignoring a woman can make her want you even more. Get ready, because this is going to change the way you think about attraction forever. Chapter 1. The Fear of Being Forgotten. All right, let's be real. We've all been there sending that perfectly crafted text, waiting for what feels like an eternity, only to get nothing. Your mind races. Why isn't she responding? Is she busy? Or worse, did she lose interest? You start overthinking every little detail. Did I say something wrong? Should I send a follow-up message? But here's the uncomfortable truth: this fear of being forgotten, this desperate need to stay in constant contact, might actually be what's pushing her away. Think about it for a second. When you're overly eager, when you're constantly in her DMs or blowing up her phone, what kind of message are you really sending? You might think you're showing interest, but in reality, she might see it as a lack of confidence or even worse, neediness. Well, let's face it, neediness is a huge turn off. It signals to her that you don't value yourself enough to be patient, that you're seeking her validation to feel good about yourself. Imagine this scenario: you send her a message, and then you wait and wait. As the minutes turn into hours, your anxiety starts to creep in. Why isn't she replying? What's taking her so long? You start to panic, and before you know it, you're sending another message just to see if she'll respond to that one. But here's the kicker: that second message, it's not helping. In fact, it's making things worse. When a woman feels like you're desperate for her attention, it can be a major turn-off. Instead of drawing her closer, you're actually pushing her away. And the worst part, this kind of behavior can make you look less attractive in her eyes. It can make her question whether you're truly confident and secure in yourself, or if you're just looking for someone to fill a void. Chapter 2. The Power of Strategic Ignorance. Now, let's flip the script. What if instead of anxiously waiting by your phone, you decided to do something different? What if you took a step back and gave her some space? I'm talking about the power of strategic ignorance. Imagine this scenario: you've been chatting with her, maybe you've even had a great conversation going. But instead of responding immediately to every message, you decide to take your time. You don't rush to reply, you don't drop everything the moment your phone buzzes. And here's where the magic happens: that little bit of mystery, that slight delay, it can actually make her want you more. It's all about creating a sense of anticipation. When you're not readily available, you're giving her time to think about you. She starts to wonder, why hasn't he replied yet? What's he up to? And this curiosity can spark her interest in a way that constant attention simply can't. Let's break it down a bit more. In psychology, there's something called the scarcity principle. It's the idea that people place more value on things that are scarce or hard to get. By not being constantly available, you're subconsciously signaling that your time and attention are valuable and that she needs to earn them. Now, I'm not suggesting you play mind games or intentionally ignore her to manipulate her feelings. That's not what this is about. Strategic ignorance is about balance. It's about knowing when to engage and when to step back, allowing a natural ebb and flow of attraction to take place. Imagine you're in the middle of a great conversation, and then you decide to pause, take a break, and focus on something else for a while. Maybe you go to the gym, hang out with friends, or dive into a hobby. When you come back to the conversation, you're bringing fresh energy and perspective. And guess what? She's had time to miss you, to wonder what you've been up to, and to think about you more. This doesn't just apply to texting. It's about your overall approach to the relationship. If you're always available, always the one initiating, you might be giving off the vibe that you're too easy to get. And let's be honest, most people enjoy a bit of a challenge. By being a little less available, you're creating that challenge. You're keeping her on her toes, making her wonder, making her want to pursue you. And when she does reach out, it's because she genuinely wants to, not because she feels obligated. Chapter 3. Understanding what ignoring really means. But let's get one thing straight: ignoring a woman doesn't mean ghosting her or being rude. It's not about playing childish games or making her feel bad. It's about adopting a mindset where you prioritize your own life and activities rather than centering everything around her. So what does this look like in practice? Let's say she texts you while you're in the middle of something important. Instead of dropping everything to reply, you continue with your day. You respond when it's convenient for you, not the moment your phone buzzes. This isn't about disrespecting her time or feelings. It's about showing that you have your own life, your own priorities, and that you're not going to abandon those just because someone new has entered your life. Imagine this scenario: you're working on a project, or maybe you're out with friends. Your phone buzzes, and it's her. Now, your first instinct might be to check the message immediately, but instead you decide to wait until you're done with what you're doing. When you finally do respond, you're showing her that you have a full life, that you're not sitting around waiting for her to reach out. This sends a powerful message. You're independent, you're confident, and you're not going to let anyone, no matter how much you like them, disrupt your flow. This kind of behavior isn't about being aloof or distant. It's about maintaining your own sense of self, your own life, and not losing sight of that just because you're interested in someone. It's about balance. You're showing interest, but you're also showing that you have your own priorities, and that's incredibly attractive. When a woman sees that you're not desperate for her attention, that you have your own passions, goals, and responsibilities, she's going to respect you more. She's going to see you as someone who is confident, who values himself, and who isn't afraid to live his own life. And that, my friends, is the key to creating real, lasting attraction. Chapter 4: The Balance of Attention. Now, I'm not saying you should play hard to get to the point of being completely detached. There's an art to balancing attention. It's all about showing genuine interest without sacrificing your own independence. Think of it like this: you're walking a tightrope. On one side is showing too much attention, which can come across as needy. On the other side is showing too little, which can make you seem uninterested or unavailable. The goal is to find that sweet spot right in the middle, where you're giving her enough attention to show you care, but not so much that you're losing yourself in the process. Let's imagine a situation: she's been excited to hang out and she texts you about making plans. Instead of immediately jumping on her suggestion and clearing your entire schedule, you consider your existing commitments. Maybe you have a work deadline, a gym session, or plans with friends. You acknowledge her interest but suggest a time that works for both of you, balancing your priorities with hers. This kind of response shows that you value your relationship with her, but it also makes it clear that you have your own life. It's not about playing games or pretending to be busy. It's about genuinely maintaining your own autonomy and making sure that both of you respect each other's time and commitments. This balance keeps the relationship dynamic and exciting. It shows her that you're confident, that you know your worth, and that you're not going to drop everything just because she's available. It's a subtle but powerful way to communicate that you're someone who is independent and self-assured, and that's incredibly attractive. But remember, it's not just about withholding attention, it's also about knowing when to give it. When you do spend time with her, be fully present. Give her your undivided attention. Show her that when you're with her, you're fully engaged and interested. This contrast between your independent life and the moments when you're fully present with her creates a powerful dynamic of attraction. Chapter 5: The Trap of Neediness. Let's dive deeper into one of the biggest traps in relationships: neediness. This is a major pitfall that can derail even the most promising connections. When the fear of losing her drives you to act from a place of desperation, you've fallen into this trap. We've all felt it at some point, that anxiety when you're not sure where you stand with someone. It's the nagging worry that if you don't stay in constant contact, she'll lose interest, drift away, or worse, find someone else. But here's the kicker: this constant need for validation can actually push her away. Neediness isn't just about constantly texting or calling. It's an attitude, a mindset. It's the belief that you need her approval, her attention, her validation to feel good about yourself. In that mindset, it's not attractive. Neediness signals to her that you're not confident in yourself or in the relationship. It shows that you're dependent on her to feel secure, which can make her feel overwhelmed or suffocated. And nobody wants to feel like they're responsible for someone else's happiness. So, how do you avoid this trap? The first step is recognizing when you're falling into it. Are you constantly checking your phone? Waiting for her message? Are you rearranging your entire schedule just to be available when she is? Are you feeling anxious or insecure when you don't hear from her right away? If the answer is yes, it's time to take a step back and reassess. You need to cultivate a sense of self-worth that isn't tied to her responses or attention. Focus on your own life, your own goals, your own passions. When you're fulfilled and happy on your own, you won't feel the need to seek constant validation from her. Here's a little exercise. The next time you feel that urge to text her, just because you haven't heard from her in a while, do something else instead. Go for a run, pick up a book. Work on a project you've been putting off. Shift your focus from her to yourself. By doing this, you're not only avoiding the trap of neediness, but you're also showing her that you're confident and self-sufficient. And that confidence, it's incredibly attractive. Chapter 6. The Illusion of Longing vs. True Love. Here's something we all need to understand: longing isn't the same as love. We've been conditioned by movies, books, and songs to equate that intense feeling of desire with true love. But in reality, they're not the same thing. Longing can be exciting, sure. There's a thrill that comes with the chase, with not knowing exactly where you stand, with that tension of wanting something you can't quite have. But here's the deal: that kind of longing, that thrill, it's temporary. True love, on the other hand, is built on something much deeper. It's built on emotional connection, mutual respect, and a commitment that goes beyond the initial sparks. True love isn't just about the highs and the excitement. It's about the steady, reliable connection that can weather the ups and downs. If we confuse longing with love, we risk chasing an illusion rather than building something real and lasting. We might find ourselves constantly seeking that next thrill, that next high, instead of appreciating the deeper connection that's right in front of us. So how do you distinguish between the two? Start by paying attention to how you feel when you're with her. Is it just about the excitement, the tension, the chase? Or is there something more? Do you feel a deeper connection, a sense of trust, respect, and understanding? If it's the former, you might be caught up in the illusion of longing. If it's the latter, you're on the path to building true love. And that's something worth investing in. Chapter 7. The Mental Challenge. Here's where things get interesting. Women are often attracted to men who challenge them mentally and emotionally. This doesn't mean playing games, but rather engaging in deep, meaningful conversations that stimulate her mind. Think about it: what's more interesting, someone who only talks about superficial things, or someone who can dive into deep topics, who can challenge her ideas, who can introduce her to new ways of thinking? When you're someone who can hold an engaging conversation, who can discuss topics that matter, who can listen as well as contribute, you're offering more than just physical attraction. You're offering a connection that's far more compelling. Let's say you're out on a date. Instead of sticking to the usual small talk, you start discussing something you're passionate about. Maybe it's a book that changed your perspective, a new idea you've been exploring, or a hobby that excites you. You're not just sharing facts, you're sharing a piece of yourself, your thoughts, your passions. And when you do this, you're inviting her to do the same. You're creating a space where both of you can connect on a deeper level, where you're not just attracted to each other physically, but mentally, emotionally as well. This kind of connection is what keeps the relationship interesting. It's what makes her look forward to your conversations, what makes her want to know more about you, what makes her feel like she's with someone who isn't just attractive, but also intellectually stimulating. And here's the best part. When you challenge her mentally, you're also showing her that you're someone who is constantly growing, learning, and evolving. And that's incredibly attractive. It shows that you're not stagnant, that you're someone who is always striving to be better, to know more, to experience more. And that's the kind of person who is irresistible. Chapter 8. The Hot and Cold Behavior. Now, this one's tricky, the infamous hot and cold behavior. You know what I'm talking about, right? One minute you're giving her all the attention in the world, and the next you're distant. It's like a roller coaster of emotions, and it can be incredibly confusing. But here's the thing. When done right, this push and pull can actually heighten attraction. This isn't about playing games or being manipulative. It's about creating a rhythm in the relationship, a dynamic where you're not always predictable. The truth is, predictability can sometimes lead to boredom. When she knows exactly what to expect from you all the time, it can dull the excitement. The key here is balance. You don't want to be so hot that she takes you for granted, but you also don't want to be so cold that she feels neglected. It's about finding that middle ground where there's enough warmth to keep her interested, but also enough distance to keep her intrigued. But let's break this down with an example. Say you've had a great date and everything went really well. Instead of immediately planning the next date or texting her non-stop, you take a step back. You give her space to process the date, to think about you, to wonder when she'll see you again. During this time, you might be a bit less available, focusing on your own life, your own activities. This creates a sense of anticipation. She starts to wonder what you're up to when she'll hear him next. And when you do reach out again, it's like a breath of fresh air. But remember, it's not about being cold or indifferent. When you are with her, or when you do reach out, make sure you're fully engaged, fully present. This contrast between the times when you're a bit more distant and the times when you're fully there creates a dynamic that keeps the relationship exciting. The hot and cold behavior is about maintaining a rhythm in the relationship where there's always a bit of mystery, a bit of unpredictability. It's about keeping her on her toes, making her curious, making her want more. But here's the warning, don't take it too far. If you're too cold for too long, she might lose interest or feel like you're not genuinely interested. The goal is to keep things balanced, to create a dynamic that's exciting but also grounded in genuine connection. So there you have it. The secret to attraction isn't about constant attention. It's about mastering the art of strategic ignorance, balancing your own life with your relationship, and embracing autonomy. Remember, relationships are a journey of self-discovery and mutual growth. By applying these principles, you can create a connection that's not just passionate, but also fulfilling and long-lasting. Take these lessons to heart and watch how they transform not just your relationships, but your entire approach to life and love. Until next time, keep growing, keep learning, and keep evolving.